During the hardships of the early to mid-20th century, especially across Europe during and after the World Wars, households operated with a discipline that, honestly, modern kitchens rarely see. Waste was a luxury no one could afford, and every scrap of food, fabric, and household material was repurposed. These routines were not just about thrift, they were survival strategies that shaped entire generations. Understanding them today gives us insight into practical history, domestic resilience, and even sustainable living. Grandparents, planned every meal with precision. Every ingredient in a wartime kitchen had a purpose. Families would calculate portions carefully, often based on ration cards or limited supplies, making sure nothing went unused. Leftovers were rarely thrown away. Cold roasted meat might become stew the next day, and stale bread was transformed into puddings or breadcrumbs. Even vegetable trimmings were saved for stocks. A modern application could be simple. When cooking at home, keep vegetable peels, bones, and meat scraps in a dedicated container to make rich broths. This not only maximizes flavor, but reduces food waste significantly. Nothing edible was ever discarded. What we consider scraps today were seen as ingredients back then. Potato skins were fried into crisps or used in soups. Cheese rinds were simmered in sauces for depth. Even overripe fruit was cooked down into jams or fermented for vinegar. In the same way, understanding these practices can be applied in modern kitchens or survival situations. Overripe tomatoes, for instance, can be concentrated into a paste, and apple cores and peels can be boiled into cider vinegar or pectin for jam. This is more than frugality. It's an efficiency mindset that turns potential waste into new resources. Household fabrics were repaired or repurposed relentlessly. Clothing was patched multiple times, sheets became aprons, and worn-out wool sweaters were unraveled for knitting new garments. Even small rags were saved for polishing or cleaning. For anyone interested in historical household skills or survival preparedness, maintaining a stash of reusable fabrics or learning basic mending skills can extend the life of clothing and reduce reliance on new purchases. It's also a tangible way to experience the resourcefulness of previous generations firsthand. Canning, preserving, and storing was an art form, Grandparents relied heavily on long-term storage techniques. Jars of preserves, pickled vegetables, and smoked meats filled pantries back then. Seasonal abundance was carefully converted into winter supplies. These days, modern equivalents are pretty straightforward, using airtight containers, vacuum sealing, or even traditional methods like pickling cucumbers and fermenting cabbage into sauerkraut can really replicate these old techniques. These practices not only help reduce waste, but they also provide self-sufficiency, offering a direct link to historical living during wartime. Every leftover had a household purpose beyond the kitchen, believe it or not. Bones weren't just for stock. They became fertilizer in garden soil. Eggshells strengthened plants, and coffee grounds enriched flower beds. In this way, nothing in a household was purely disposable. Applying this knowledge today could mean composting all your organic kitchen scraps, using leftover cooking oil for soap or lamps, or even turning worn-out fabrics into stuffing for cushions or insulation in your DIY projects. These small practical steps help recreate the kind of resourcefulness that kept households running smoothly in difficult times. Household management included strict routines to prevent spoilage. Food was consumed according to age and perishability. Root vegetables were stored in cool, dark places, eggs were buried in ash to keep for months, and dairy products were consumed quickly or turned into butter and cheese to extend usability. Timing and attention to spoilage were critical. Modern enthusiasts can replicate this by organizing storage with the same principles, using a rotation system for pantry items, freezing surplus food, and tracking expiration dates meticulously. This is historical wisdom applied in a contemporary context. Bartering and sharing extended resources beyond the home. Communities often relied on mutual aid to reduce waste. Excess preserves, eggs, or milk were shared with neighbors in exchange for other goods. This was not charity. It was efficiency. Today, this can be mirrored through local food swaps, community gardens, or neighborhood sharing apps. Understanding the social dimension of waste reduction shows that historical routines weren't isolated. They were embedded in a network of practical cooperation. Cleaning and hygiene practices ensured longevity of items. Dishes, utensils, and cookware were cleaned with care to last years. Wooden spoons, cast iron pans, and enamelware were meticulously maintained. Applying this lesson today is simple. Treating everyday items with respect, regular maintenance, and proper cleaning extends their lifespan and reduces the need to replace them frequently. Historical routines here teach patience and long-term thinking. The routines of our grandparents were more than habits. They were survival skills, practical knowledge, and a mindset of efficiency. Applying these methods today provides insight into history, enhances self-reliance, and promotes sustainability. Whether you're a history buff, a prepper, or someone interested in practical domestic skills, these routines are an evergreen resource you can put into action. Subscribe to Warpaths of Europe and share this guide with fellow enthusiasts who want to reclaim the lost art of household efficiency. Preserving these lessons keeps history alive and ensures the ingenuity of past generations continues to inform and inspire.